We're staying in the Big 12. Kansas State, Colorado. Going to Boulder. Kansas State. Playing from behind here in the Big 12 because they had a loss to BYU early in the season. Colorado. Are they undefeated in the Big 12? I
Yes, they
believe
are. They're 2-0.
they are. They haven't been playing terrible football. We know, which maybe I think a lot of experts, including myself, thought that they might be playing at this point in the season, but Colorado has found ways to win football games. Could you say that they probably shouldn't have won the Baylor game? Absolutely. But did they look really good against UCF? Yes, they did. And while they still refuse to run the ball, I mean, they against the last two games, I feel like they've tried to run the ball a little bit more than maybe they did the first several. I know I said this about UCF, but is Colorado going to be able to stop the run here? And look, KJ Jefferson, well, he's like, an athletic quarterback, right? He's not an athletic quarterback like Avery Johnson is. And the playmaking ability that you see from him is pretty unique. I know he had a bad game against BYU, but also some weird turnovers and special teams touchdowns kind of let that game slip a little bit. I still like Avery Johnson. Don't love Avery Johnson. Love me some DJ Giddens. I don't know. And if you're looking at this coaching matchup here, like Chris Kleiman is just such a better coach in game than Deion Sanders is that I'm willing to give you just a couple points there just from that. And I don't know, like it's just the altitude. I don't know I don't know why this game is as low as it is. I'm too scared to put in my best bets because I do think Colorado can stay in the games because Shedeur is actually playing unbelievable football this year. He is actually playing unbelievable football. I know people don't love his attitude, whatever. When I'm in terms of evaluating these games and these players and these teams, I look at him and he's an absolute superstar. He is so good, and obviously Travis Hunter in his own right is just an absolute monster. And it's like the second odds-on favorite to win the Heisman because of what he does on both sides of the football. But man, Kansas State's been leaky in the past game at times this season, but I'm gonna lay it with Kansas State. Give me Kansas State minus 4.5 here.
Yeah, I really want to take Colorado just because I think that atmosphere is going to be big time. I do think they match up well, maybe pushing the ball down the field against Kansas State. And also the way they looked against UCF, I can't get that out of my head. However, I do think my opinion on UCF has changed, pretty not significantly, but a good amount, right, in these last couple weeks here.
Well, especially with our opinion changing on TCU.
Yeah, that's more so of it, right? So I'll go Kansas State minus 4.5. Don't feel great about it, right? Like you said, super cautious about why this game is so low, and it kind of makes me think that Colorado has a chance to win this football game, which they absolutely do, right? Absolutely do. Here's the thing: you saw a lot of encouraging signs out of Manhattan a couple weeks ago, right, against Oklahoma State. We saw them go and kind of just dominate, right? Dominate Oklahoma State. They got their bye week, got right, hopefully figured things out offensively. However, that defense, we talked about Colorado's defense last year being just terrible. Oklahoma State defense is in that same category in terms of just awful, 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 awful. So yes, of course, Kansas State looked good against them. So I think they're going to win. I think they'll go into Boulder and get a win. However, if you get down, you start trailing, you have a chance to come back because Colorado just refuses to run the football and to bleed out clock. It's going to be really hard. But if you're making Avery Johnson and DJ get away from the running game and having Colorado's front seven, who's, by the way, their pass rush, I've been pretty impressed with it so far, can do some good things for you. And that's where you lead to some negative turnovers. You saw some of that happen there with BYU and Kansas State, where you just struggle to come back from a deficit and it kind of piles up on you. Yeah, I'll go Kansas State minus 4.5. But I do think the way that they would have to win this football game, the style of play this game has to be played is much more narrow than I would have thought coming into the season. And that's a credit to Colorado for sure.
Yeah, it really is. Their superstars are playing like superstars, and the defensive line has made plays. Man,
Yep.
they've made plays, which we talked about when we were in the offseason. We had our series, talking about impact transfer portal players, and we talked about a couple of these guys on Colorado, just and what kind of impact that they can bring this defensive line. Just didn't have the juice last year, and yeah, they've really made an impact on this team. Just in terms of like creating those negative plays that allows some of the athletes in your secondary to play down the football. They've been pretty opportunistic on the defense side of the football. They're top 10 in the country in fumbles recovered. Um, they've also in fourth down situations, or sorry, in the red zone, they've held up really well. Um, but Kansas State has done a good job scoring in the red zone. I'm with you, dude. Kansas State -4.5 just feels like the right side, but it also feels too obvious. So I'm staying away from it on my best bets. But boy, was it very, very tempting.